degrees. That's a look at the news for now. I'm Curtis Walsh for 1230 WBVP 1460 WNBA 95.7 FM 99.3 FM, all presented by St. Barnabas and streaming live around the world at beavercountyradio.com.
Local news, local topics, local conversation. You're listening to AM Beaver County on 95.7 FM, 99.3 FM, 1230 WBVP, and 1460 WMBA. Presented by St. Barnabas and streaming live at beavercountyradio.com.
And we're back on this Tuesday morning edition of AM Beaver County, and I'm now joined in studio by Kim Villella. Kim, good morning to you. Hold on, let's try that again. Good morning, Kim. Good morning, Matt. Can you pull yourself a little bit closer there? I'm just trying to, or wait, now I know why. Idiot. There you go. Let's try one more time. Good morning, Kim.
Good morning, Matt.
There we go. I was like, why can't I hear her? Oh, right, she's on that mic. Good job. So of course, we're here today to talk about you as a business person, because you just recently retired from Una Bella Beauty and Wellness, located on Merchant Street in Ambridge, after 40 years in the business. How does that feel to just think about that it's been 40 years in the business?
Well, it's an awesome feeling. And first of all, I just want to thank you for inviting me here this morning. I'm flattered to spend this time with you and just talk about my long career that I've had in the Ambridge area. But driving here this morning, I realized that it started right around the corner from the studio at Pittsburgh Beauty Academy.
That's incredible. And it shows that, it all sort of started right here in Beaver County. And it all, for those who think it's like, oh, Beaver County, the North and the South are so far away from each other. It's really not. I mean, it all just sort of encompasses itself into one thing. But you started here at the Pittsburgh Beauty Academy, and, we were talking beforehand, before we started, that it all started like in your house before it became a business right on Merchant Street in Ambridge.
Right. So I always had the love and passion for the beauty industry and for doing hair since I was a little girl. And I always say that a lot of teenagers babysat, and I just cut everybody's hair in my neighborhood. So I had a little hair salon that my parents bought me for one Christmas. I wanted a real hydraulic chair when I was about 13.
Wow.
And then I just started, everyone just asked me to cut their hair. So I didn't realize that I was creating a business at that point, or that I had a natural God-given talent in that industry. But it's been a wonderful ride since then.
That is amazing to think about. I mean, not just the fact of, a 13-year-old asking for a hydraulic chair for Christmas. That is amazing in of itself. But just the fact that, you look at what goes on today with, young businesses and a lot of DIYers that sort of start their own businesses from their home. You were sort of, you were 40 years ahead of your time in that regard, just sort of starting in your house, then eventually getting to Merchant Street in Ambridge. And what year was that when that happened?
That was in 1984 when I came to Ambridge. So I'm a 81 graduate from Ambridge, born and raised in Harmony Township, and I graduated beauty school in 82. So at that point, I had a full-fledged business. And then I was fortunate enough at an early age, at 19, I started working for Clairol International as a regional representative and taught hair coloring in the tri-state area.
And that, of course, led to, other people getting into their own businesses, and it sort of just started spreading the thing. And you said, you had traveled the world for, all different types of purposes in the beauty business.
Yes, so I started with Clairol, and then in 1987, I went international with Italy Hair Fashion. So they were based in Milan, and I taught hair coloring mainly in North America, all over the United States and in Canada. I spent a lot of time in Canada.
Wow, that is super impressive. And the fact that it's right here in Beaver County, and it's sort of just allowed you to travel the world. A lot of people think, oh, I'm not so sure if that's possible. It is possible, and you are proof of that. And while this is happening, Ambridge is going through many different phases of its existence, as far as sort of getting out of the steel mill era into the 90s and the 2000s to what it's become over the last couple of years, as I've talked with Mayor Duke McCoy and Mario Leone about that it's sort of going through this sort of a cultural transformation now. What's your view of how Ambridge has been over the course of those 40 years?
One thing, I feel like I got a great education growing up on Merchant Street. And although I traveled every weekend, and I have to say, I had such a supportive husband because I had two small children too when I started doing this. So I was gone most of the weekends. But I would love coming back home and standing behind my chair in Ambridge the most. And I did see a lot of the changes somewhat collapse, and then now the Ambridge is definitely back on the upswing.
And a lot of that, does give credit to you, because not only were you a member of, Una Bella and sort of running your own business for 40 years, but you were also part of several other businesses at Ambridge, and also part of some of the politics at Ambridge for a good time.
Yes. So we started investing in Ambridge, of course, as an early age. Bought that first building on 611 Merchant Street, and we continued investing in the area. In 1999, we built a 50-bed assisted living facility on Merchant. And then eventually in, I think, about 2000, we bought S&S Fasteners, which is a PennDOT manufacturing company. We manufactured big bolts for bridges and different projects, again, all over the world, coming right from Ambridge.
And that creates this, sort of connection with the rest of the world, where it says, hey, it can happen here. This is where things can be manufactured. It can also be a place where you eat and dine in and stuff like that. And of course, with the beauty salon, you can, get prettied up for, a night out on the town or whatever it is that you're feeling that day. So, and that's the part of it too, because a lot of people may not think, how do you go from, beauty to industrial work with PennDOT? And the reality is it's just a matter of bringing business to the area and investing in the community.
The main thing, I think, for community growth and economic development, we both know, is jobs.
Yeah.
So when you become a job creator, you're contributing to the growth of that area. But also, I feel that you need a vision, too, of where you want to go. And I think that was one thing that happened is, change is going to happen. So you either have the ability to recognize that change and try to direct it, or it's going to end up taking you maybe somewhere where you don't want to go. But through my travels, I would be in very cool little towns and cities, and I would come back to Ambridge, and I knew we have all the components to get there. It was just, you needed good leadership and good players with a good vision. So I think right now the timing in Ambridge is exceptional, where everything's just coming together.
I agree with that. I agree. And it's showcased itself through all the new businesses that have come to Merchant Street and come to town, and the push, that vision, like you say, to keep that going, to make, Ambridge a better place than it is, even though it's a better place than it already was, to keep bettering it as time goes along. We're talking with Kim Villella, and we're talking about her time as a businesswoman in Ambridge. We're going to continue talking about that coming up after the break here on AM Beaver County.
Hey, it's Jimmy Fallon from Fox News, inviting you to tune into Beaver County Radio weekdays from noon to 3 p.m. for Fox Across America with me, Jimmy Fallon. It is the fastest growing radio show in the country, mainly because of my weight. But the point is, you tune into our show, you could be a Republican, you could be a Democrat, just don't be a jerk. Listen live on 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and BeaverCountyRadio.com. I'll see you there.
The ballpark is coming into your living room or the dashboard of your car. That's because Pirates Baseball is on Beaver County Radio. Set the dial to WBVP, WMBA, 99.3 FM or 95.7 FM, and then turn the volume up to hear the most beautiful sound in the world. Pirates Baseball is sure to be a hit this year, and it's presented locally by the Beaver Falls Municipal Authority, Express Employment Professionals, Dr. C. Timothy Lip, Falcones Boone Township Board, Keystone Wellness Program, and St. Barnabas, among others, right here on Beaver County Radio.
Computers and internet searches can be very helpful for discovering information, but not always when it comes to researching medical conditions and finding help. Dale Reckless from MRS Physical Therapy recently discussed this topic in a radio interview.
A lot of patients come in and say, well, I Googled this and it didn't really help. Well, I understand, we Google things and we want to get information, but Google's not going to assess you personally. Google's going to give you an overall possibility of what could be going on with you, but you really need the eyes of the professional and the hands-on, the professional like what we have at MRS Physical Therapy to steer you in the right direction for what exercises should help you out. And then you're going to be getting the hands-on skills that we provide to help work on your soft tissue, to help relax the muscles, to help make it feel better.
If you need physical therapy for any reason, choose the place that your friends and neighbors do. MRS Physical Therapy in Bridgewater and Cranberry Physical Therapy in Cranberry. Visit mrsphysicaltherapy.com.
Now entering our 75th year of serving Beaver County. You're listening to 99.3 FM, 95.7 FM, 1230 WBVP and 1460 WMBA. Part of the St. Barnabas Radio Network.
And we're back here on AM Beaver County on this Tuesday morning. We're talking with Kim Villella. And Kim, we've been talking about the growth of business in Ambridge and the shifting tides of business in Ambridge and where it's going now, which seemed to be on an upswing. What do you think is the key component to that upswing continuing its momentum?
Well, I think that there's a good core group of people working and creating that buzz. We have Old Economy, which is, will always remain our gem. Mm-hmm. But we're really starting to promote tourism. We have 2 microbreweries now,
yes,
and there's still rumors of more coming. Ambridge was always known as our bars and our churches. I never found out if that was truth or a legend myth that we were in the Guinness Book of Records for the most bars and churches. But we celebrate them both. So I believe the microbreweries will pull more tourism to our area
mm-hmm.
and be a big complement to Old Economy.
Yes.
Then we have some businesses that I guess you wouldn't think would be a business on Merchant Street or what we're attracting. And like we have an exotic pet shop on the corner of 6th Street. And they're actually one of Western Pennsylvania's exotic animal rescue centers. They go to the schools and promote exotic animals and things. So I think these downtowns are going to attract more niche businesses than the old time retail
mm-hmm.
stores that we said. Unfortunately, with online shopping, I think it's hurt. We've seen the mall and just our little downtowns as far as shoes and clothing and things, but they still need to have groceries. One thing that Ambridge is really becoming that I've noticed is we're very diversified now. We have a little Mexican restaurant. We have
mm-hmm.
a Syrian grocery store. Ambridge, our school district has 60 non-speaking English students in it right now, which I think that's amazing.
That is amazing.
And unique. And that's part of Ambridge that I love is the diversity that's found there.
And what's great about that, too, is not only is it a showcase of sort of being in the modern era of unique businesses and sort of this multiculturalism, but it's really something that's been in Ambridge the whole time. It's been sort of, you go back to the days of steel mills and sort of the diversity that came with that. It's sort of, if it did leave, it is coming back. And that is sort of a reflection of the old school ways of, the 40s and 50s when, you had the steel mills and sort of the boom of the economy that Beaver County experienced. But Kim, one thing I wanted to ask you is, as someone who's been in business for 40 years, what advice would you give to somebody who's trying to start a business, sort of to come, into their own and become a successful business person?
That's a good question. There is a lot of components. I'm a great example, though. If I could do it, anybody could do it. One thing is, it is a lot of work and it's a lot of sacrifice to own your own business. But as long as you're willing to invest, we talked about different products and the different types of businesses that I owned. And really the product's irrelevant. It's how you're going to sell that product and what story you have with that product and how much of your life you want to dedicate. Owning a business that was open 365 days a week, 24 hours a day was a tough business. That was
mm-hmm.
10 years basically of my life, that all we did was work to get through each and every day. Um, networking, of course, is number one. People will always buy off of who they like. And one thing I feel that I learned standing behind that chair, I tease Matt that I've been standing in the same spot for 40 years, but I became a people specialist. And when you understand people and their wants and needs, and you could fulfill that wants and needs with a product or service, then I believe you will become successful.
So it's about, making sure that no matter what it is that you're getting into, whatever business you're getting into, that you apply that level of communication and empathy when dealing with, clients and customers and other business people to create that networking that will help you succeed down the line.
Right. And you do have to, one of my favorite quotes that I use is you do have to know the history of the past, the climate of today, and the vision of tomorrow. So you still, even when you become successful, you still have to know where you're going the next day, and know when to hold them and know when to fold them too.
Right.
It wasn't really in my plans to retire, but if I had a good buyer to come in and willing to invest and buy my business, which I'm thankful that I did, the timing was just right too, and that's important.
That is important because that whatever business you left behind and sort of the standards that have been set for that business, those are going to stay in place. And even if there are subtle changes down the line, that everything that is going in there is going to, remain at its core with the business.
Correct. And I think that is a responsibility of a good business owner, is to hand your business off to someone that's going to be an asset to that community. Also, I think was important, and a core value that my husband and I had in all of our businesses that we sold.
Truth. Now, this is going to be a little cliche, and I apologize for that up front, but anytime somebody retires, the question's always going to be asked, what's next? What's the next move? So I'll might as well just throw that out there now. What is the next move?
Well, the next move in my life, again, I feel like I'm starting a new chapter. I'm awaiting my 5th grandson.
Oh, wow.
In November. So all of a sudden I have a basketball team here that I'm going to be taking care of.
That's one way of putting it.
Right. And I made it simple. I said, when I retired, I cut my hair off, painted my nails red, and I'm going fishing. And that's what I hope my future's.
You certainly earned it. And that's
yes,
certainly
thanks.
been, for 40 years, not just, becoming this person of, standing in there and, making people pretty and getting that to, where everybody was having a good time in Ambridge, but also having all these businesses, having this mindset of, let's continue investing in our community. Let's continue investing in the people, because it's not just everybody in the community that's going to the beauty salon. It's everybody in the community doing everything. And you helped invest in that. And that is what made Ambridge successful for not just you, but for everybody there for so long. And like you say, it's starting to come back. It's starting to sort of go in that upward swing. And if people have that vision, as we've been talking about this whole time, if they have that vision, it's going to continue in that direction.
Yes, and I think it's very important to be involved in your community. I was always service driven from a young age. But no one's going to protect your investment more than you, or drive that community more than you, than if you're involved. So that was always important to me, not only to protect my investment, to give back. I've been blessed. The people of Ambridge in that area has put food on my table every single day. So I do feel that I've been very blessed to have successful businesses here in Beaver County. So I think it's important to give back to the community. It's hard to just remove yourself when it's every day of your life. So I'm trying to pull back slowly from all the organizations that I've been involved in, but they know that I'm here to consult and advise. And I pick the phone up when people call me every day. So,
And that goes back to the communication that was established for those 40 years. Communication that helps provide that networking, provide that level of comfort, providing that level of connection throughout the community. And it's good to know that that's not going away. And I can't imagine it was going to anyway, but it's just a matter of officiality of, running that business every day. That's, in somebody else's hands, but to help the community, that's still there.
Right.
So, Kim, I thank you so much for joining me today to reflect on that, long tradition of business that you've left, not just for, Una Bella, but everybody else in Ambridge. And again, all the things that you've done to help out the community, I think is reflected in what it's doing now. And I thank you for stopping by this morning to talk about that with us.
Oh, thanks, Matt. And if I could just add,
Absolutely.
I want to just invite everybody to Ambridge on September 24th. I have to get my little last plug in here. There's two great events going on actually in that day.
Oh, okay.
So the borough is bringing back the Festival of Churches, which the Chamber and the borough started around 6 years ago. Now, we haven't had it for the last 2 years because of COVID.
Right.
And then also on that day, we have a new group of community-driven individuals that started it's going to be a big music and art festival called Jambridge. So they'll both be working together. It's a collaborated effort on September 24th. So there'll be thousands of people merging on Ambridge that day. So I just want to put it out there. And hopefully WMBA will be there broadcasting live like they have at so many of our events.
Well, we'll certainly make a push to get out there for that. That'll be very cool to do.
But I want to thank you, Matt, for honoring me this morning. Taking time to talk to me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I thank you for coming in and sharing all with us. Thank you.
Thanks.
That's Kim Villella, and more details at beavercountyradio.com later on this morning. Teleforum is coming up next.
Hi, folks. I'm with our good friend John D.